Your brother, your friend, your dietitian back again for another installment. Inspirit, nutrition, books that changed my life. If you can count to 4, you can have anything you want to have, and you can be anything you want to be. Let's get it popping. If you can count to 4, the success quadrant. It was later called the success quadrant. It shouldn't even be called the success quadrant. If you can count to 4 is I think it's a better title, and that was the original title. They later on changed it, but the whole book is talking about if you can count to 4. This book brought everything together. It's funny because every time I read a book, I'm like, man, this book leveled me up. It brought me to the next level. But this book truly leveled me up because what he did, Jim Jones, he came from nothing. He came from Tennessee in the backwoods. He was one of 14 children. He came from poverty, and he learned about the success principles, and he proved them in his life and became a multimillionaire. And then he trained the likes of Jim Rohn, the likes of John Earl Schoaf, and then he created the legacy of Mark Hughes, Herbalife, multi-level marketing, the self-development field, all of that. And he took the torch from Napoleon Hill, from Neville Goddard, from a lot of these people like the brother who wrote The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, which is Joseph Murphy. He studied under all these brothers, and then he brought it down to a real simple language and put it in a 150, 200-page book. So whenever I find a book that's amazing, that's absolutely life-changing, I always try and find it in hardcover. What I noticed is that authors from the 50s, 60s, 40s, 30s, 20s, back in the day, even 70s and 80s, a lot of them weren't necessarily in the book selling business. Nowadays, you have people who like have a formula for going New York Times bestseller, like Tim Ferriss. He has good content, but a lot of it's superficial. Back in the day, yeah, they want to make money, but they were trying to spread and share ideas. With that, you get more unadulterated, great content. So in this book, what he does is he lists out different ways to become successful. And he uses a lot of the success principles found in books like The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill, where he touches on 17 principles of success. He talks about principles from the book Think and Grow Rich, right? He talks about different principles that Jim Rohn, that a lot of other teachers, Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy, all talk about. But he makes it so simple and easy to digest. It's like a roadmap to success, a blueprint to success. So the first thing he does is talks about the fact that it is our privilege to be whatever we want to be and to have whatever we want to have. So if you want to be one of great poise, one of character, one of confidence, one that's funny, one that's charismatic, one that's loving and always sees the truth and beauty in a situation, one that's cultured. If you want to learn to speak multiple languages, if you want to have a beautiful home by the beach, if you want to have a beautiful home in the woods, if you want to have a beautiful home in the city, condo, apartment, nice car, beautiful wife, healthy children, whatever you want to have and whatever you want to be, it is your privilege to attain that. It's a bold statement. When I read this, I started getting chills. I'm like, it's my privilege to be whatever I want to be? I can be anything I want to be? I had to stop, like, whoa. I can have anything I want to have? It was heavy. But then he proceeds to explain how, yes, you can be whatever you want to be and you can have whatever you want to have. He breaks it down within only 150, 200 pages. The first sentence in the book, if you can see it, is, I'm not in the book business. A book to me is one way of sharing an idea. So he tells you straight up, the first sentence, I'm not in this to make money off books. I'm already a multimillionaire. He doesn't say that, but he was already a multimillionaire at the time. He's just trying to share an idea. First chapter, he talks about counting to 4. right? Which is the name of the book. He says, if you can count to 4, you can learn a simple set of rules which will unlock the treasures of the universe on all dimensions. Millions of people have been taught to believe that the rules of success are indeed so very difficult and complicated that surely they could never learn them. But he explains how, yes, you can learn them. He says in 4 steps, you can learn how to become whatever you want to be and to have whatever you want to have. I think it's a little more complex than counting to 4 or 4 steps, but he does include laws and principles within those 4 steps. So let me jump right into it, because you guys have been watching the video for a while. First step, definitize, be specific about, write down what you want to be and what you want to have, your dream, being very specific. The guy tells you, oh, I want a Cadillac. Oh, I got a 1922 Cadillac. I got a 1956 Cadillac out in the back. It's yours. No, I don't want that kind of Cadillac. Well, you said you wanted a Cadillac. There's a Cadillac. It's old, it's beat up, it's from the 50s. It's yours. No, I want a new Cadillac. Well, you need to be specific, because the universe needs to have a specific, clearly defined goal. Not only that, in order for you to imagine it, in order for your subconscious mind to start working on it and manifesting it, you need to be specific about it, very specific about it. So start off with defining your goals, right? What do I want to be? I want to be one of poise. I want to be one of calmness and equanimity, no matter what kind of situation I find myself in. I want to have lots of money. I want to have freedom. I want to have culture, right? Be specific. You have to write it out specifically. With the Cadillac, you have to say, what kind of wheels do you want? What kind of tires do you want? What kind of rims do you want? What about the upholstery? What color do you want it to be, right? What color of the outside of the car you want it to be? You want to have. Be specific. Then he says, you have the ability to say yes or no to anything in your life, right? God gave you that voluntary will. He said that the second step is denying anything that is against your dream of what you want to be and what you want to have. Only accept and invite into your life and into your space those things that match your dream. The third thing is to act like you already have fulfilled the dream. Once you act like you already fulfilled the dream, you imagine, how would you feel if you had that Cadillac? How would you feel if you had the 6 Series Beamer, Alpina, red interior? That's my dream car. Silver exterior, standard tires, standard wheels. How would you feel if you had that? I would feel amazing. Live in that, dwell in that, and then with emotion and feeling, you'll begin to attract that. Number 4 is reviewing the defined dream, visualizing it, as well as visualize the dream, review the defined list of goals, say no to everyone, and live within the feeling as if you already fulfilled it. And what'll happen is that'll all plant the dream into your subconscious mind. The feeling stating that he or she feels the feeling she would feel or he would feel if he or she had that dream fulfilled. So the subconscious mind says we need to attract what's necessary, the necessary ingredients to fulfill that dream. And what happens is ideas will start coming to your mind from the subconscious to the conscious and telling you, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that, and you'll achieve your dream. It seems like it's that simple, but the last step, which is still a part of number 4, is you have to act on all the ideas that come from the subconscious mind, right? So he ends the 4 steps there, but then he says, I'm going to go into some success principles that if you fill in between those 4 levels, they'll help you achieve all your dreams, right? One of the principles, the secret of genuine success is actually realizing that success is based on fulfilling a need, a human need, with a high quality service in a high quantity, high level. It's in the joy and satisfaction of knowing that, yes, I'm serving someone and I'm being compensated abundantly and at a high level, for my service. So he later goes on to define money, what it is, what it isn't, how to use the mind, learning. He goes over principles of mind. He goes over the principle of habit. He goes over the principle of the mastermind. He goes over the principle of willpower, the principle of the imagination, going the extra mile, and the power of emotions. So the first one I want to talk about is the power of the mind, principle of the mind, the mental processes. In the book, he goes over how, yes, the secret to genuine success is focusing on a human need and fulfilling that need with a great service, right? Finding your purpose. What's my purpose and how can I fulfill that purpose with a service to humanity? That's the first that's the secret of genuine success. The next thing is he talks about being aware of how the mind works. So he goes over the conscious and the subconscious mind. I already knew about this because of my studies through Ralph Smart. Shout out to Ralph Smart. He just reached 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Diving deep once again. So shout out to Ralph Smart with that. But he used to post about the subconscious mind. Watch some of his videos on the subconscious mind and read Joseph Murphy's book on the subconscious mind. Also, my mentor, Paramhansa Yoganandaji, has some books, and in there he talks about the conscious versus the subconscious. So I already knew about those principles, but he goes a little bit into them and reiterates them. He also says that the mind can only hold one thought at a time, and you have the privilege of controlling that one thought. It may seem like we have 1,000 thoughts or we can have multiple thoughts at once, but really the thoughts move so quickly that it seems as if we have multiple thoughts running through the mind, but only one thought can occupy the mind at a time, and you can control that one thought. So with that principle, he says that therefore you can become, well, before then, he says that he goes over the principle of, as a woman thinketh, so is she. As a man thinketh, so is he. So the strangest secret, as Earl Nightingale said, is that we become what we think about. And what we think about most is what we become. So Jim Jones is saying, if that's a universal law, that what you think about, you become, like Solomon said, as a man thinketh, so is he, in the Bible, then if we can control that one thought that we have, then we can become whatever we want to be, because we can control our thoughts. And if we can control our thoughts and direct our thoughts to what we want to be, then we can become anything. So if you want to become one of poise, one of strength, one of seriousness, have a solemnness about yourself, it's possible through controlling that one thought. Thought by thought, you could build it. So I'm like, damn, this is intriguing. He's dropping knowledge. We can literally become whatever we want to be if we control that one thought. So example, you want to be a more happy person. One thought at a time. Think happy thoughts. One thought at a time. The boy who wanted to become a doctor, my friend, he's a podiatrist. His name is Muhammad, right? What's his last name? Muhammad Ansari. He's from Atlanta, but he became a podiatrist. I knew him as the 18-year-old kid at Howard University who had dreams of becoming a doctor. Each thought he had, he controlled and said, one day I'm going to become a doctor. He got denied from different schools. He ended up going to podiatry school, and now he's a doctor. He became a doctor. So you could become whatever you want. You just have to control your thoughts. He talks about choosing your goal. He doesn't really use a universal principle in this chapter, so I don't want to go over that. But he does talk about how to choose a goal. It should be a goal that's based on your specific proclivity or your specific so it should be based on what you're specifically inclined to do, one of your talents or one of your skills you should focus on, something you're drawn to, like your purpose. He defines what money is and what it isn't, and how he says money is only a symbol of a service rendered. If you want to hear deeper into this principle, I did a whole video on it. It's called Money Game, what it is and what it's not. But he basically says that money is a symbol of service rendered. If I do a public talk, if I do a motivational speech, educational speech, everyone is enlivened, encouraged, empowered from it. The director, the person who invited me out, they will pay me money as a symbol that I blessed, I helped, I motivated, I inspired, I educated the people in the audience, the organization, to move forward, to action. So anytime you have money, you receive money, it is a symbol of a service rendered. Therefore, if you want more money, increase your service quality and quantity, and maintain a positive mental attitude while you're providing that service to fulfill that need. Money, he says, is only a score counter, a scorekeeper, a storehouse. It's like in the video games where you have 1,000 points, experience points, or 1,000 coins, or 10,000 coins, and with those coins you can buy things in the game. In life, money is the same. It measures the amount of service you've been putting in, and it allows you to express yourself by buying things that you want to do, or things that you want to buy, and purchasing experiences that bring you happiness and that do great things for yourself, your family, and humanity. How to make success automatic. This one was very, very, very compelling, right? He used a masterful analogy to explain something that Napoleon Hill tried to explain, but it was just so arcane, so what's the word? It's arcane and recondite. It's just arcane. It was esoteric when I read it in Napoleon Hill and I heard it from The Law of Success. It was like hard. I mean, I understood it, but he didn't explain it simply. This brother Jim Jones takes the torch from Napoleon Hill and explains it really simply, and I'm going to share it with you. Jim Jones says, in the book, he says, there is a law, a universal law called the law of habit, or the law of cosmic habit force. That's just like, he got that from Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill is the one who came up with the idea called cosmic habit force. I'm like, what is this esoteric stuff they're talking about, cosmic habit force? I like the idea of the law of habit. It's more simple. Aristotle said it. He said, success is not a choice, it's a habit. Or greatness is not a choice, it's a habit, right? So he says how to make success automatic. He starts off with an analogy, Jim Jones. He explains that habit is like glue in this scenario I'm about to explain. So say you want to build a tabletop, right? A countertop. Well, not a countertop. A tabletop. In order to build a tabletop, you need the wooden planks lined up. You need the wooden planks to be lined up, and then you need glue to be placed in between all the wooden planks, right? Once the glue is placed in between all the wooden planks, then you need a clamp, a wooden clamp, to hold the planks in place until the glue dries up and the glue is strong enough to hold the wooden planks. He states that the willpower is the clamps. The glue is actually the habit. In order to create and appropriate, to take advantage of the law of habit, what we have to do is realize that in order to create a new habit that'll lead to success, you have to come up with a new idea. For example, my new idea for success a new habit for my success was waking up at 5 a.m., right? So waking up at 5 a.m. was going to be a new habit. I had to take the planks and put them next to each other, put the glue in between the planks, and then with my willpower, use wooden clamps, i.e. the willpower, to hold that new idea, that new habit in place. So I had to force myself to wake up, play a lot of alarms of Eric Thomas, E.T., jump out the bed, get hyped, drink coffee, just fight. Every day, wake up at 5 a.m. Every day I wake up at 5 a.m. But eventually what happens is that glue, i.e. the habit of waking up at 5 a.m. becomes automatic to the point where you wake up at 5 a.m. without having to use an alarm, without having to take coffee, without having to listen to ET, inspirational messages. And then the success becomes automatic. The success becomes automatic because you use the law of habit. If you're constantly negative and you want to become more positive, create a new habit of being positive, being happy, saying positive things, seeing things from a positive perspective, and use your willpower to every time you want to say something negative, no, fight back and say something positive, right? And that will help you become more positive, and eventually you'll create enough tracks of positive thoughts in your subconscious mind that it'll become a habit for you to think positively and see things from a positive perspective. By using that law, by appropriating that law of habit, you actually can become whatever you want to become. And now, say you're waking up at 5 a.m., because what I was doing was going to the gym and also I was studying. So with that habit, that studying habit of waking up at 5 a.m., or that habit of waking up at 5 a.m. led me to the success of being able to study every day, which will lead me to the success I'm planning on going back to school, is to be able to get into the school that I want, because I use the power of habit to wake me up at 5 a.m. Also, I use the power of habit to study every day at 5 a.m. or 5:15, whatever, 5:30, however long it takes me to get ready in the morning. But now it's automatic now. I study every day at a certain time because that's just how I get down. And you can appropriate that law to do whatever you want in life, like going to the gym, becoming in shape, becoming physically fit. I know I'm still working on it. I got a little something, but I didn't have that before. I was more skinny. Now I'm more fit, but I used the law of habit to manifest that. You could do that with Spanish, which I did. You can do it with different language. You can do it with budgeting your money. You can do it with cooking healthy food. You can do it with treating your wife right. You can do it with anything. He goes into the mastermind principle, but he does it way better than Napoleon Hill, in my opinion. To first learn about the mastermind principle, you may study Napoleon Hill, but Napoleon Hill gets real esoteric with it. And it is esoteric. The foundations of it, the source of it is spiritual. It's real esoteric. But it's good that Jim Jones brought it down to our level. Okay? Excuse the video being all up in my grill in the beginning. I don't even know if I'm going to use this footage because I didn't realize that it was that close. I need to recheck it and say what's going on. But yeah, so I realized it was super close. Now it looks normal. But the mastermind principle, Jim Jones goes into the mastermind principle, which is a principle that will allow you to obtain the missing ingredients to your success. The mastermind principle is this: it's when any two or more people come together to achieve and obtain a common goal. Say it again. The mastermind principle is when any two or more people come together to obtain or achieve a common goal. So a lot of people like Andrew Carnegie, or Andrew Carnegie. Is it Andrew Carnegie or Andrew Carnegie? I don't remember. Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison. A lot of different people use the mastermind principle to achieve their dreams and their objectives and their goals. The mastermind principle is working with somebody else who has all the missing ingredients that you don't have. Like, say you have money, you're watching my video, you're an investor, but you have a wife and children, you're an old timer maybe, no offense, but you are a baby boomer. You don't have the energy, you don't have the hustle, you don't have the drive. That's one of your missing ingredients. But say you meet a young maverick millennial like me, who wakes up at 5 a.m., who works out, who studies, who hustles, who has the personality, has the charisma, has the energy. Now we partner up. My missing ingredient may be capital. Your missing ingredient is everything that I have. We could partner up, work together, and achieve a goal. He says with this principle, mastermind principle, there's no reason why anyone should say they can't achieve their dream. If you don't have money, it's okay. You have other things that you can bring to the table. You can have information. You can have knowledge, specialized knowledge in the field. You can have the energy. You can have time even. You could be a capital investor, somebody with a lot of money, but they just don't have free time, but you have a lot of it. That's precious. That's something you can bring to the table. Once you realize that, you can say, wait a minute, I have no excuse not to achieve my dream, because all you have to do is write down a piece of paper, split it in 2 columns, and along the top put mastermind principle. Underneath mastermind principle, put your goal. In 1 column, put all the assets, all the attributes that you have that will help you achieve your goal. On the next column on the right side, put down all the things that you're lacking and all the attributes, characteristics, and resources you're lacking on the right side. What you want to do is find someone to get into your mastermind group that fits and fulfills all the attributes, that has the attributes and the things that you're lacking, and figure out how you can compensate that person, motivate that person to join your mastermind. You can't just walk up to somebody and say, hey, join my mastermind group. You're rich. I need money. No. Some people will be inspired by your ambition. Some people will be happy to serve on your mastermind group with either advice, knowledge, expertise, or even money if you show ambition, if you show promise, if you have potential and they believe in you and they happily invest. Other people may not be they may want a piece of the pie. They may say, okay, I'll give you capital, but I want a piece of it. I want to invest. I want a part of it. I want profits. You may exchange other services for capital, or you may exchange other services for information. With me, I reach out to people on LinkedIn. I reach out to people via calls. They fill in the missing ingredients for my dream, but they do it out of giving back. Some of them I've had to pay, right? So with the mastermind principle of writing out all the assets that you have and all the things that you need, you can achieve any dream. If you want to purchase a home, if you want to start a business, if you want to create a better family, a more harmonious family, you can write down, wife, baby, girl, what can we do? Let's meet together and form a mastermind alliance to say we want the most healthy, spiritual, God-blessed, happy, prosperous relationship and household. Let's come together and create a mastermind group to create that, to manifest that. He goes into willpower, and as well, another principle of universal principle is using the willpower. The willpower, he goes back to that same analogy with the habit, and uses the willpower as the wooden clamp that holds those 2 planks together while the glue, which is the new habit, is drying. He says that the will is not creative of its own, but when that subconscious mind gives you those ideas, you need the will to put them into action. You need the will, the fire, the spirit, the drive to put them into action and manifest them. And then you need the will to start new habits. So he breaks it down, but he just basically says that the will is the clamp that holds down the glue until it becomes a habit. Okay? So with the will, you can fight and become who you want to become, because you have to hold on and stay steady and fight those old habits, to break those old habits day by day, discipline by discipline, activity by activity. You have to use the will. Like in the morning when I was waking up, I was fighting to get up at 5 a.m. I had to use the willpower. Now when it's 5 a.m. I just wake up. Oh, it's nothing. When I went to go to sleep, I had to go to sleep at a certain time in order to wake up at 5 a.m. Because there was no way I was going to sleep at 1 a.m. and waking up at 5 a.m. It wasn't working. There was no way I was going to sleep at 12 a.m. and waking up at 5 a.m. I had to force myself to go to sleep at a certain hour to wake up at a certain hour. And it took the willpower, those clamps, to hold down and say, you got to go to sleep. At 5 a.m. you got to get up. I had to fight it. So you can use the will, the power of the will, to achieve any dream that you want to achieve, and to become whatever you want to become. Muhammad Ansari, the brother I told you about who became a doctor, he used his will to never give up to get into podiatry school. He used his will. We took classes together, physiology, different science classes together. He used his will to make sure he got a high grade in those classes. And then the habit of studying and things like that took over later. Okay? So that's another principle he talks about, is the will. Then he talks about the law of cause and effect, or the law of sowing and reaping. He says, if you sow generously, you'll reap generously. Why? Because he talks about the mastermind, not the mastermind principle, going that second mile, or going the extra mile principle. Napoleon Hill talks about this. Napoleon Hill does a pretty good job explaining the extra mile, but I just feel like this guy does a better job. I mean, he studied Napoleon Hill, so Napoleon Hill's the one who came up with it. Not came up with it, but he documented. He wrote it down in the book. So shout out to Napoleon Hill. But how to obtain the increase in income, he says, always go the extra mile. He said that there's a universal law. In order to get paid for your services, or in order to keep your job, you have to do your job duties in order to continue receiving the paycheck. In order to continue receiving a paycheck, you have to complete the aforementioned or necessary job duties, right? Now, if most people, just off of GP, general principle, most people do the bare minimum so that they can get by in their job. He says, just by universal law, the only way you can get paid more is by doing more than you get paid. I'll say it again. The only way that you can get paid more is by doing more than you currently get paid. So with that said, doing more than you get paid is equivalent to, say you're sowing and reaping. You're planting and harvesting. You plant some corn, but you plant just enough to feed your family. How can you expect and ask God to give you more corn, give you more quinoa, give you more, spelled amaranth, whatever you want to call it? Because people, I know I got people talking, probably going to think, corn, how are we getting corn? Look, let's focus on the principles. If you plant amaranth, but you just plant just enough, you plant quinoa, but you plant just enough to feed the family, how can you ask God for more abundant supply? But if you sow abundantly, you plant a bunch of amaranth, you can expect a return 10,000-fold or 100-fold, 1,000-fold. So it's the same in work, at your job. You can't reasonably ask for more from your employer, a raise. You can't expect an increase in income, a promotion, if you have not done the extra mile, gone above and beyond. Because if you're at this level getting paid and you do this amount of work, how can you expect to get paid this much? If you're here, you should be doing this amount of work so that you can be guaranteed to get paid that much. Now, the extra pay may not come in the form of money immediately. It may be goodwill, meaning somebody looks upon you fondly, because if there's a position that opens up, the first person they think about, there's a raise to be given, the first person they think about is that person who has become indispensable because of their extra mile, their extra effort, etc. Some people may think from a negative perspective, like, well, what if since I do more and I'm more expensive, they fire me first because they're trying to cut losses, cut their costs. That happens, but if you do it in the spirit of a positive mental attitude, what you'll find is you'll find another job because you're that type of person. You're that caliber of individual because you're providing extra mile service, second mile service. But generally the principle works this way. Not that you'll be fired because you're the most expensive employee to have because you're so great. That does happen, but it's rare. What really will happen the majority of the time is that you'll find that you have good fortune with your employer because they look upon you like, man, this person always does more than asked. They always outperform their peers, and they're great. They're gonna be compensated more. We're gonna promote them more. They're gonna get more recognition. You just be awesome. So it's the same way with your employees. If you're a boss or if you're a manager and you have staff, same with your wife and children. With your students at school, you always want to do more than you're getting paid so that you can receive more. That's the extra mile principle, which is super dope. He goes into the power of your imagination. I'll talk about this a little bit, about how the mind doesn't know the difference between imagined reality and actual reality. So you can actually imagine yourself in your dream. You can imagine yourself as being the person you want to be and fill that imagination with emotion, and you'll actually get power from that, and it'll actually draw your dream towards you. He goes into a couple of more principles that I'm not going to talk about today, but just let it be known that this book is one of the greatest books I've ever read on success, and it's changed my life. So please check it out. Your brother, your friend, your dietitian, back again for another installment. Please let me know what you guys think about the book review. Peace and blessings.